Good morning students, welcome back to class. We are doing chapter 5 of Sociology class 12 and the name of the chapter is Pattern of Social Inequality and Exclusion. In today's session, we will cover the following topics: struggle for women's equality and right. Then we talk about social reform movement versus women's reforms. So let us start with our concept. Nearly half of the population of the world consists of women, but they are discriminated against in all spheres of life. Down the centuries, girls, young women, adult women, and old women have been discriminated against only because they are women. This has been happening in every village, town, cities, even in colleges, schools, temples, everywhere. Gender-based discrimination is inhuman and one wonders how long it will continue. One of the ways to find out the actual state of a civilized society is to see the state of women in that society, the rights they have, and what is their educational status. It is important to know how much participation in decision making women have, whether the women who share more than half the responsibility have any role in social and political decisions or not. The state of women reflects the state of development of a society. Efforts have been made to improve the state of women and for their empowerment at rural and urban areas, national and international levels, and to a large extent these efforts have borne fruit also. Still, the entire world has to go a long way to end gender biases and ensure social justice to women, so that women also get benefits from the process of development. Gender-based discrimination is a social evil. Women are capable of shouldering responsibilities equal to men. The modern woman who has got rid of the shackles to a large extent has already proved that she is as good as men, if not superior to them. Now we talk about social reform movements versus women's reform. In the beginning of 19th century, India saw a wave of new awakening. This movement was started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who is called the father of modern India. Women's reform movement were an important part of social reform in this era. Now, Raja Ram Mohan Roy and his Brahmo Samaj. The most prominent movement for women upliftment was started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy in 1828, called Brahmo Samaj, on the principle of Upanishad. First of all, he raised the issue of sati, which was absolutely unjustified in the eyes of the man who had grown up on a mix of Asian Indian tradition and Western thinking. He got a good support from the native thinkers and the colonial rulers. He succeeded in abolishing this tradition. After his demise, Maharishi Devendranath Tagore ran the Brahmo Samaj and continued to fight for the reforming state of women in India. He opposed polygamy and supported widow remarriage and education for women. Keshav Chandra Sen also made significant contribution in this direction. In 1863, he openly propagated widow remarriage and his message reached every village in Bengal. Now we talk about Jyotiba Phule and his Satyashodak Samaj. Raja Mohan Rai, Mahadev Govind Ranade, Swami Dayanand Saraswati and Devendranath Tagore belong to upper caste and their movements were restricted to urban areas and were able to address only a few issues of social reform, while Jyotiba Phule's Satyashodak Samaj was a movement to address the problem of the Dalits and backward social inequality and gender-based discrimination. While Brahmo Samaj and Arya Samaj were based on Upanishad and other Hindu scriptures, Jyotiba Phule found it Brahmanical. He considered then caste organizations. He started his Satyashodhak Samaj with the objectives to present the truth as it is. He raised the issue of untouchability and women inequality. He strongly opposed the atrocities on women in the name of social tradition. He supported remarriage for widows and opposed the khoti custom, according to which the newly married bride of the Shudra had to spend their first night with the Brahmin Zamindar, who forced the Shudras to work on his farm and would take 3/4 of the produce. M.G. Ranade, he was a Hindu Brahmin and was shocked by the way women were appealed to the people by saying that even in the Vedas it was not mentioned to treat them badly or they shouldn't get married again. All these were the people who come up for the upliftment of women status in our society. Now we talk about some main women's writing. The first book, Stri Purush Tulna, 1882, was written by Tarabhai Shinde. She has highlighted the different treatment given to men and women at home and the double standard of men. She talked of a Brahmin widow who was sentenced to death because she killed her newborn baby born out of the illicit relationship, whereas the court was absolutely silent about finding the illegitimate father of the baby. She raises the pertinent question that in a crime committed by both men and women, why it is always that the woman is punished and the man goes free. After the publication of this book, there was a virtual storm in the society. People criticized the male double standard openly. Second, we talk about the Sultana Ka Sapna, 1905, that was written by Begum Ruqayya Sekhawat Hussain. From a Bengal Muslim family, she had studied English, Urdu and Bangla and wrote in Urdu and Bangla. But to test her command over English language, she wrote this book in English. Sultana Ka Sapna is the first example of science fiction in India. She was recognized as the first woman writer in the world. Sultana, the main character, entered a magic world in her dream where the roles of people have changed. In other words, men are engaged in household chores and women are discovering ways to control the clouds or invent an air car that can fly in the sky. In short, she highlighted women's capability through the medium of a dream. Now, there are some provisions for women, the status of women. During the 19th century, there were very few associations which fought for women. And after independence, many women associations came up for the upliftment of women. There were the movements started in the 19th century, mainly concentrated on removing the glaring social evils like sati, child marriage and prohibition on widow remarriage, etc. However, after independence, the Hindu Marriage Act 1956, Equal Wages Act 1976, etc. come up to reform the traditional condition of women and to include them in the mainstream society. Now we talk about the Declaration of Karachi Conference. The Indian National Congress declared the fundamental rights of citizens of India in its Karachi session, held in 1931, in which, apart from other fundamental rights, equal rights to women were discussed. All citizens are equal in the eye of law, irrespective of their caste, religion, sect or gender. No citizen of India will be considered disabled in matter of trade or employment by the Public Employment Bureau on the basis of their caste, religion, gender. There will be no discrimination based on gender in matters of franchise. every citizen will have the right to vote. Then women will be given the right to vote, contest elections, and be appointed on the public post. That's it with your today's session. Hope you all understand that. In tomorrow class, we will discuss about the scenario of differently abled. Till then, take care. Goodbye.